Between 2020 and 2022, something unusual happened with one vehicle. Buyers drove it home, then listed it on Craigslist for more than they had paid. And they sold it. Not one person, thousands of people. And that vehicle was not a Ferrari. It was not a Porsche. It was the Toyota Tacoma. A high school teacher in Colorado bought a 2019 Tacoma TRD off-road. He paid $38,000. 2 years later, he received an offer of $46,000. That was $8,000 more than his original purchase price. After 2 years of use, he turned it down. Not because he did not need the money, but because he knew that truck was not going to get cheaper anytime soon. This is not a story about a pickup truck. This is a story about something most car buyers never see. Tacoma buyers have understood it for a long time. Since 1995, the Tacoma has been the best-selling midsize truck in North America. It has dominated the segment for nearly 3 decades straight. Not because there was no competition. Ford Ranger came back in 2019. Chevrolet Colorado was completely redesigned. Jeep Gladiator entered the segment with a loyal fan base. None of them changed the order at the top. In 2025, total Tacoma sales reached 274,000 units. That was a 42.4% increase over 2024. The Tacoma outsold the Corolla to rank third in Toyota's entire lineup. In the first 9 months of 2025, Toyota sold 204,000 Tacomas. That was a 61.2% jump over the same period in 2024. The closest rival was the Chevrolet Colorado with 77,000 units. The gap is not 2-to-1. It is close to 3-to-1. Tacoma sales nearly match the combined total of the 4 trucks ranked below it. The 2024 Tacoma SR starts at $31,590. The TRD Pro and Trailhunter go above $55,000. This is no longer a budget truck. Hundreds of thousands of people pay that premium price every year. And the reason is not a lack of alternatives. No alternative is better once you add everything up. Most car buyers think in just one way. How much am I spending today? That is a consumer mindset. It is also why most car buyers make worse decisions than they could. The high-trim Tacoma buyer thinks differently. They see it as deploying capital into a high-liquidity asset. It has the most stable value curve in the entire U.S. auto market. That is an investment mindset. And it leads to very different financial outcomes after 5 years. A high-liquidity asset, in practical terms, means one thing. It converts to cash quickly, at any point, at close to market value. The Tacoma meets all 3 criteria better than any other midsize truck. It also outperforms many assets people think of when talking about investing. The clearest proof is the period from 2020 to 2022. The entire auto market was disrupted by the semiconductor shortage. The Tacoma did something no ordinary vehicle does. It appreciated in value after purchase. New Tacoma buyers could list their truck for more than they paid. Offers came in within 24 hours. That did not happen with the Colorado, Ranger, or Gladiator at the same scale. Even in more normal market conditions today, Tacoma buyers know something. When they need to liquidate, they post it and get offers fast. No waiting. No repeated price cuts. No explaining why their truck is worth more than a buyer thinks. That is the definition of high liquidity. No other midsize truck in the U.S. has done that for nearly 3 decades. Let's talk about a number most truck comparisons never put side by side. Not the sticker price, not the horsepower, the money you spend each year to keep that vehicle running. RepairPal puts Tacoma annual maintenance at $478. That is one of the lowest in the entire U.S. truck segment. CarEdge puts the 10-year gap at $3,373. That is compared to the average cost across popular trucks. Colorado runs $629 per year. The Ford Ranger costs $615. The Jeep Gladiator costs $694. The Tacoma costs $137 to $216 less per year. Over 10 years, that gap reaches $1,370. Over the full 10 years, that totals $2,160. And that is before counting any unexpected repairs. The fourth-generation Tacoma runs a 2.4-liter turbocharged engine. It uses the Tonga F platform, the same one as the Tundra and Land Cruiser. Parts are stocked at more than 1,500 Toyota dealerships. Most independent shops across the U.S. carry them too. No specialized technician required. No ordering parts from overseas. No waiting a week to fix a simple problem. Toyota also includes a complimentary maintenance plan for the first 2 years. It covers the first 25,000 miles. Most competitors do not offer that. That is the annual cost to keep a $50,000 asset running perfectly. No investment has a maintenance cost ratio that low. This is the strangest economic phenomenon in the history of the U.S. auto market. It happens with the Tacoma more than any other vehicle, at any price range. Between 2020 and 2022, thousands of Tacoma owners sold for more than they paid. This was documented on Craigslist, CarGurus, and AutoTrader across the country. A 2019 TRD Off-Road bought at $38,000 sold for $46,000. That was after just 2 years of ownership. A 2020 SR5 bought for $34,000 sold for $41,000. That was after just 18 months. Not because of luck. The Tacoma supply-demand structure works the way most financial assets cannot. Demand consistently outpaces supply. That creates sustained upward price pressure in the secondary market. Even in normal conditions, the Tacoma holds value better than midsize rivals. The Tacoma loses 30 to 35% of its value after 5 years. The Colorado loses 40 to 45%. The Ranger loses 42 to 47. The Gladiator loses 45 to 50. Now put that into real dollars. A new Tacoma TRD Off-Road starts at $42,000. After 5 years, it is worth $27,000 to $29,000. A new Jeep Gladiator starts at $45,000. After 5 years, it is worth around $22,000 to $25,000. The Tacoma costs $3,000 less at purchase. It holds its value $4,000 to $6,000 better after 5 years. The 5-year gap over the Gladiator is $7,000 to $9,000, and that is before counting any maintenance costs. CNBC ranks Tacoma among the top residual value vehicles in the U.S. auto market, not just in the midsize truck segment, across the whole market. Smart buyers do not just buy a Tacoma to drive, they buy it to hold an asset the market consistently overvalues in their favor. This is where the Tacoma separates itself from any sedan or SUV in this series. And it is why calling it a wealth move is not just a figure of speech. The Tacoma iForce Max Hybrid comes standard with a bed-mounted inverter. That inverter outputs 2,400 watts. It powers drills, saws, grinders, and most professional tools off the grid. No BMW X3, Audi Q5, or Mercedes GLE offers this at any price point. Maximum towing capacity reaches 6,500 pounds when equipped. That is enough to pull a mid-size boat or a construction materials trailer. It can also handle small agricultural equipment or a portable storage container. For a contractor or tradesperson, the Tacoma is not an expense. It is revenue infrastructure. Every haul of materials to a job site, every time you plug tools into the inverter off the grid, every time you tow equipment to a work location, that is real money, not abstract utility. Toyota research shows 40% of Tacoma owners go off-road monthly. That tells you Tacoma buyers do not purchase it to park in a garage. They buy it to use. When a vehicle holds value best and also generates income, the math shifts. Its true total cost of ownership drops below any number on a spreadsheet. Most people picture a Tacoma buyer the same way: a blue-collar worker, maybe a construction tradesperson, or a weekend off-roader with mud caked on the tires. That image is not entirely wrong, but it overlooks a growing group that fits no one's expectations. The TRD Pro and Trailhunter trims run $55,000 to $65,000. They are being bought by a surprising group: software engineers in Seattle, doctors in Denver, real estate investors in Austin, financial professionals in Dallas, people who can afford a BMW X3 or Audi Q5, and chose the Tacoma after running the numbers. Not because they prefer mud over Napa leather, but because the math does not favor the BMW. Place the Tacoma TRD Pro's 5-year ownership cost next to the BMW X3. Look at retained value, maintenance costs, and liquidity. The result is not close. This reflects a broader trend in how self-made wealthy Americans handle money. People who built wealth through disciplined decisions measure value differently. Not through inheritance or luck, through decisions. They look at total cost and return on capital, not at the social signal of a logo. The Tacoma is not the vehicle of someone with no options. Increasingly, it is the vehicle of someone with too many options. Someone who has done enough math to know this is the best choice in that range. At this point, it would be dishonest to only present one side. The Tacoma is not the right choice for everyone. And saying otherwise would not be honest. If you live in a dense city like New York or San Francisco, if you drive mostly in the city and never need to tow or haul anything heavy, and if you park in an underground garage that charges by the hour, the Tacoma is the wrong choice on every level. It burns more fuel than a smaller car in urban conditions. It is significantly harder to park, and none of its utility advantages can be used in that environment. If you drive 90% highway and prioritize cabin comfort above all else, the 4th-generation Tacoma has improved significantly. But it is still not the best choice for that profile. But if you drive a mix of city and suburban roads, if you need real utility at least 20 to 30% of the time, if you plan to keep the truck for 7 to 10 years, and if you measure value by total cost of ownership, resale value, and liquidity, no vehicle in that price range offers a better overall calculation than the Tacoma. That is not an opinion. That is the result of a calculation more and more smart people are running, and they are all arriving at the same conclusion. Some good financial decisions are visible right away, and some better financial decisions only become visible years later. When others are selling at a loss and you are getting offers above what you paid. The teacher in Colorado was not a financial genius. He simply understood one thing that most car buyers never sit down to calculate. The vehicle in his garage was not a sunk cost. It was a highly liquid asset with low maintenance costs, the best resale value in its segment, and something he could convert to cash whenever he chose. A smart money move does not look like a smart money move. It works quietly, consistently, and without explanation. No need to justify it to anyone. The teacher turned down $46,000. Not because he did not need the money, but because he knew the truck in his garage was worth more than that check.